Jesse Lord had been on recall lists before, mislabeling Listeria scares undeclared allergens, but in 2025, the company's lemon meringue pies triggered a deeper concern: chemical dyes and packaging failures that expose consumers to hidden risks in their most familiar foods. Walmart's decision to keep stocking these products, despite past violations, signaled something more troubling than a single misstep. It pointed to a pattern where convenience and cost beat out caution, and oversight got lost somewhere in the supply chain. If you're tired of being lied to, if you're ready to expose the truth they don't want you to know, then don't just watch. Join this fight. Hit subscribe right now so you never miss the facts the corporations hope you'll ignore. Every new video pulls back the curtain a little more, and together we're building a movement they can't silence. Subscribe, stay informed, and let's take back control, one truth at a time. These weren't fringe items, they were pantry staples, lunchbox fillers, last-minute dinner solutions, and they were dangerous. The problem didn't start or stop with pies. 10 different Walmart products were recalled in 2025, from seafood tainted with radioactive isotopes to frozen vegetables laced with salmonella. Investigators traced these hazards back to suppliers like Nate's Fine Foods, Fresh Realm, and Braga Fresh International, companies with long records of violations and poor sanitation. Despite audits and testing, Walmart's vast centralized network allowed contaminants to spread across state lines and store shelves. It's a failure not just of a corporation, but of a system built for scale, not safety. As these incidents pile up, so does the urgency. Consumers must look beyond low prices and start demanding transparency, traceability, and accountability from the brands they rely on every day. Walmart shoppers expect low prices. What they don't expect is radioactive seafood, salmonella-laced vegetables, and lemon meringue pies packed with dangerous chemicals. But in 2025, that's exactly what they got. Jesse Lord, the company behind those lemon meringue pies, had already built a track record that should have raised red flags. They weren't new to recalls. They'd been cited before for mislabeling, for Listeria scares, for undeclared allergens. But this year, something changed. The 2025 recall wasn't just about a missing label or a trace contaminant. It was about chemical dyes, substances that shouldn't have been in food in the first place, and packaging failures that potentially exposed customers to toxic elements right in their grocery carts. And yet, Walmart kept stocking those pies. Let that sink in. A company with a history of recalls, producing a dessert filled with hidden dangers, was still sitting on shelves at the largest retailer in the country. This wasn't just one product slipping through the cracks. It was evidence of a broken system, one where risk is shrugged off, oversight is inconsistent, and the priority is always volume over vigilance. The truth is, the lemon meringue pies were just the tip of the iceberg. In 2025 alone, 10 different Walmart food products were recalled. 10. And these weren't obscure items from the discount bin. They were everyday groceries, pantry staples, lunchbox fillers, dinner table defaults for millions of families. Some of the worst cases were downright alarming. Frozen vegetables contaminated with salmonella, seafood that tested positive for radioactive isotopes. Yes, radioactive. These aren't minor mistakes. They're not clerical errors. They're dangerous failures that put public health at risk. And the source? Not some shadowy black market supplier, but names that have shown up again and again. Nate's Fine Foods, Fresh Realm, Braga Fresh International. These are companies that are no strangers to violations. They've been hit before for poor sanitation, failed inspections, and contamination risks. But they keep getting contracts. They keep getting shelf space. Because for Walmart, the priority is a massive centralized supply chain that can deliver cheap food at scale, even if it means skirting the edges of food safety. Let's be clear, this isn't just a Walmart problem. It's a systemic problem. It's what happens when a corporation gets so big, so sprawling, that no one has a clear view of what's going where, what's in what, or who's doing what behind the scenes. The audits, the quality checks, the third-party verifications, they're happening, but they're not working. Contaminated products are still getting through. They're being shipped across state lines. They're landing in store freezers and fresh produce bins. millions. They're ending up in our homes. The stakes couldn't be higher. Food recalls aren't just paperwork. They're public health emergencies. And the more they happen, the more they erode trust in the system. But what's worse is the way they're treated, like a cost of doing business, like an acceptable margin of error in the race to deliver bulk items at record speed and rock-bottom prices. That mindset is dangerous because every recall has real consequences. The families who bought those lemon meringue pies, they didn't know they were exposing themselves to chemical dyes or packaging defects. The parents who stocked up on frozen vegetables for weeknight meals, they didn't expect salmonella. The shoppers who picked up seafood from the display case, they didn't think they'd have to worry about radioactive isotopes in their dinner, and they shouldn't have to. Food safety isn't a luxury, it's a basic expectation, and when it breaks down this badly, the public deserves answers. Where's the accountability? Why are companies with known violations still in Walmart's supply chain? Why does a recall history seem to carry so little weight when contracts are signed and shelves are stocked? Why is oversight failing so consistently across so many categories? At the country's largest retailer, consumers aren't just being let down, they're being put at risk, and not just once or twice, but over and over again. And the pattern matters because it tells a story of priorities, of what's valued and what's dismissed. And right now, safety is being dismissed. This isn't about perfection. No system is perfect. Mistakes happen, but when you see a consistent pattern of recalls tied to the same suppliers, the same kinds of failures, the same absence of preventative measures, that's not an accident, that's neglect. Walmart has the size, the reach, and the influence to set standards for the entire industry, but instead, it's cutting corners, and every time it does, it sends a message that your health, your safety, and your trust are less important than maintaining the machine. That needs to change. It starts with transparency. Consumers deserve to know where their food is coming from, who's making it, and what safety record those companies have. It continues with traceability. If a problem is found, it should be possible to track it down to the source fast and pull every affected product without delay, and it demands accountability. Companies with multiple violations shouldn't keep getting chances. They shouldn't be rewarded with new contracts. They should be held to higher standards or cut out entirely, because the price of ignoring these problems isn't just another bad headline. It's a public health disaster waiting to happen. The 2025 recalls weren't isolated. They were warnings. Warnings that the system we rely on for something as basic as food isn't working the way it should. Warnings that we can't afford to keep looking the other way just because the prices are low and the shelves are full. And warnings that until something changes, until companies like Walmart take real responsibility for the suppliers they work with and the products they sell, these risks will keep coming back. One pie, one vegetable bag, one contaminated seafood package at a time. If you care about food safety, if you care about the health of your family, and if you're tired of corporations treating recalls like they're just a PR problem, speak up. Hold companies accountable. Share this message. Comment with your thoughts. Subscribe for more coverage like this, and hit that like button, because this story isn't going away, and the more people who know the truth, the harder it gets for companies like Walmart to keep ignoring the problem. The real outrage here isn't just the presence of these contaminated products, it's the utter lack of consequence. When 10 products get recalled in a single year, 10 different items spanning everything from desserts to seafood, you'd expect heads to roll. You'd expect a full systems audit, a public reckoning, some sort of clear accountability from the nation's largest retailer, but nothing. No press conference, no transparent action plan, no meaningful policy change, just quietly pulled items and standard boilerplate statements about commitment to safety and customer trust. It's corporate muscle memory. At this point, damage control without the damage being controlled. Meanwhile, families across America are left holding the bag, not the metaphorical one, the actual grocery bag, filled with food that may be laced with chemicals, bacteria, or worse. And here's where it gets really ugly, because these products aren't being sold at Whole Foods or some boutique organic shop in an upscale neighborhood. No, these are Walmart products, which means they're going into the carts of working class families, parents trying to stretch paychecks, seniors living on fixed incomes, people who rely on Walmart for affordability and accessibility. They're the ones being exposed. They're the ones being failed, not once, not twice, but repeatedly. And this isn't just about food, it's about a corporate model that thrives on opacity. Walmart has built an empire by consolidating suppliers, cutting out the middleman, and leveraging bulk to squeeze costs. That model works for profit margins, but when it comes to food safety, it's a time bomb, because when one supplier fails, it doesn't just affect a few stores, it affects hundreds, maybe thousands. A single point of failure can ripple out across the entire network. That's what scale does. It amplifies risk. In a smaller, more localized system, a bad batch of frozen vegetables might hit a few stores before someone notices. In Walmart's system, that same batch can end up in freezers in 30 states. By the time the alarm is raised, it's already on dinner plates. And here's the kicker. These suppliers, Nate's Fine Foods, Fresh Realm, Braga Fresh, aren't unknown quantities. Their violations didn't come out of nowhere. They've been documented, recorded, flagged. These are not whoops, we didn't know mistakes. These are deliberate choices to continue working with companies that have already failed basic sanitation and safety standards. Why? Because they're cheap, because they can deliver at scale, because safety costs money, and enforcing accountability slows the machine. So instead of fixing the system, Walmart just rolls the dice over and over again, and it's regular people who pay the price. Let's talk about the lemon meringue pies again. Chemical dyes and packaging failures. Think about that for a second. These aren't exotic or niche desserts. These are comfort foods, items that people pick up on a whim for a birthday, a family dinner, a school treat. They're meant to be safe, familiar, harmless, but inside that box, hidden risks, not just poor quality, not just bad taste, but actual documented health threats. The question becomes, how many other items in that same aisle are just one step away from a recall notice? How many other suppliers are skating by with minimal oversight, banking on the fact that no one's really watching until someone gets sick? We're trained to trust grocery stores. It's automatic. If something is on the shelf, it must be safe. If it weren't, surely someone would have caught it. But in 2025, that trust is being tested, and in Walmart's case, it's being shattered. There are supposed to be safeguards, audits, independent inspections, regulatory frameworks, but those systems only work if the company using them cares enough to act on the results. And time and again, Walmart has shown that it's willing to tolerate risk, so long as the price is right. So let's stop pretending this is just a string of bad luck. Let's stop treating each recall like it's a disconnected fluke, because the pattern is crystal clear. Suppliers with long records of violations are still in the supply chain. Products that should have raised flags are still getting greenlit. Contaminants are slipping through testing, crossing state lines, and ending up in homes across America. The response? Quiet withdrawals, a press release or two, and then back to business as usual. No accountability, no structural change, just another news cycle to ride out. And meanwhile, the people most affected, the people who shop at Walmart not by choice but by necessity, are left completely exposed. This is why transparency matters. This is why traceability matters, because it's not just about catching the problem once it happens, it's about preventing it in the first place. And right now, the system isn't designed to prevent anything. It's designed to move fast, move cheap, and maximize profit. If food safety gets in the way, too bad. We've seen this story before. In other industries, auto manufacturers who delay recalls because the math says lawsuits cost less than fixes, pharma companies who bury trial data that shows dangerous side effects, and now, retail giants who treat food safety like a PR risk, not a moral obligation. This can't continue. If Walmart wants to be the grocery store for America, it needs to act like it. That means enforcing real standards with its suppliers. That means cutting ties with repeat offenders. That means owning the mistakes, publicly and transparently. But until that happens, the rest of us need to pay attention. We can't assume that what's on the shelf is safe. We can't assume that because a product looks familiar, it's been vetted, and we can't afford to wait for another wave of recalls to remind us that the system isn't protecting us. So here's what you can do. Start asking questions. Start reading recall notices. Start demanding better from the companies that feed us. Because if we don't hold them accountable, no one will. And if we keep accepting contaminated food as just part of the deal, they'll keep selling it to us. It doesn't have to be this way. Food safety should be the bare minimum, not a bonus feature. And companies like Walmart should be leading the charge, not dragging their feet. What's really galling is how normalized it's all become. Another recall, just another Tuesday. Chemical dyes in your dessert. It happens. Salmonella in your vegetables. Shrug. Radioactive seafood. Well, at least it was cheap. Right, this is what corporate food culture has done to us. It's numbed the public into accepting contamination like it's a weather report, occasional, inevitable, and not worth raising hell over. But it should raise hell, because it didn't used to be like this. A recall used to be a scandal. It meant someone failed, someone got fired, someone had to answer. Now, it's a press release buried under 17 layers of legalese, a silent takedown of product from shelves, no alarms, no accountability, and Walmart, the corporate Goliath of American retail, is at the center of it. You don't get to serve millions of Americans every day and shrug off the safety of what you sell. You don't get to work with suppliers who've repeatedly failed sanitation standards and then act shocked when contaminated food ends up in homes across the country. You don't get to be essential and irresponsible at the same time. That's the problem. Walmart is essential for a huge portion of the country. For many towns, it's the only place to buy groceries. For many families, it's the only store they can afford. That kind of dominance brings enormous responsibility, and Walmart is failing it spectacularly. Let's break it down again. In one single year, 10 food products recalled. Not for silly errors, not for minor labeling issues, but for real, serious, health-threatening content. And it all comes back to the same few suppliers, over and over again. How does a company like Braga Fresh International, with known sanitation problems, keep getting contracts? How does Nate's Fine Foods, with its long violation history, stay in the supply chain? How does Fresh Realm, another repeat offender, continue to land on Walmart shelves? The answer's ugly but simple. Because they're cheap, because they can move product, because the profit margins are better. When you don't stop the assembly line to clean it properly, or check every batch or fix broken packaging before it goes out the door. It's a dirty little secret in the food business. Safety slows things down, and speed is king, especially when you're feeding millions and undercutting competitors by pennies on the dollar. So instead of fixing the problem, Walmart keeps rewarding the same behavior. It keeps signing the contracts. It keeps restocking the products. It keeps relying on suppliers that have already shown they can't be trusted. And who suffers? Not the executives, not the suppliers. You do. The families who trust those bright, clean shelves, the moms packing school lunches, the elderly shoppers on a budget, the working class people just trying to feed themselves without breaking the bank. They're the ones at risk. They're the ones who don't see the fine print on a recall notice buried on a government website. They're the ones who only find out about it when someone gets sick, or worse. And Walmart knows that. That's the worst part. It knows that it serves communities who have fewer choices. It knows that it holds incredible power over what goes on your dinner plate. And instead of using that power to protect people, it uses it to prop up a food system built for convenience, not care. This isn't just a series of unfortunate events. It's a design failure, a moral failure, a corporate failure, and it's happening right now, in real time, in real stores. The chemical dyes pies in the Jessie Lord pies. Those weren't a fluke, they were the result of bad manufacturing oversight, and even worse packaging failures. The radioactive isotopes found in seafood, that's not just unsettling, it's catastrophic. It points to a total collapse in sourcing transparency. Where did that fish come from? Who tested it? Who cleared it for sale? And how did it end up in a Walmart freezer without someone catching it? And let's not forget the vegetables. The most basic, safest category of food we're supposed to trust, loaded with salmonella, vegetables that we're supposed to nourish, not infect. 10 products, 1 year, 1 retailer. That's not bad luck, that's a system that's broken, and no one's fixing it. So what do? We don't get quiet, we don't move on, we don't wait for the next recall to pop up on the news crawl. We make noise, we demand answers, we force these companies to choose between accountability and backlash. Walmart needs to hear from you, loud and clear, because if the pressure doesn't come from the public, it won't come at all. Like, comment, subscribe, share this video with every shopper you know, especially the ones who think their groceries are safe just because they came from a big name store. Let them know the biggest name doesn't mean the best standards, and the next time you walk through those grocery aisles, remember what you're buying isn't just food, it's trust, and that trust has been violated.